Hey friends, I want to talk a little bit about a kind of disturbing phenomenon that I came across ever since I entered the US immigration space 10 years back, and that's the different fraud that occurs, particularly targeting EB-5 investors. So those unfamiliar with the program, you have foreign nationals that are looking to obtain US permanent residency, then citizenship, and they invest $800,000 generally in a pooled investment vehicle that they own less than 1% of, and it's got to create at least 10 jobs. Sadly, there have been countless, thousands of EB-5 investors that have been scammed by fraudsters. And I'm going to go through 7 different ways later in today's video that you can avoid being scammed by EB-5 fraudsters. But going through some of the recent news that I've come across, EB-5 visa fraud, investors seeking permanent residency in the US cheated. The SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, has charged a New York-based businessman and his company with making fraudulent misrepresentations in security offerings to investors seeking permanent residency through the EB-5 immigrant investor program. Another one, EB-5 investor snagged in $5 million COVID relief scam. Another day, another EB-5 fraudster, fleeing foreign nationals arrested at the US-Mexico border and charged with taking more than $5 million in COVID relief funds for sham companies. Another one, Indian EB-5 investor accuses Florida immigration attorney of malpractice and acting as unregistered security brokers. Sadly, these are just a few of the headlines. There's been tens, if not hundreds of articles published on EB-5 scams that I've gone through, and we'll include some of the links in the video. But when you're investing $800,000, you've got to do your due diligence. You've got to align yourself with the experts that are licensed and able to provide sound advice for you, not just on the immigration side, getting the visa, but also on the investment side, the financial risk and the legal risks that might come from making an $800,000 investment in a fund structure. So some things to look out for are, 1, unregistered securities brokers. So if someone is marketing to you, selling you an EB-5 project, ask them for their license. Are they licensed to sell you an EB-5 investment project? If they're based in the US, the regulation's pretty cut and dry. They should be a registered broker. If they're based abroad, and it's, it could be a migration agent, for example, the regulations are looser, especially if they're not a US person, but they should also be registered oftentimes in their home jurisdiction if they're marketing different securities, different real estate funds for foreign investors. Make sure whether you're working with someone in the US that you're buying an EB-5 project from, or someone from abroad, that they are licensed, and ask for their validation. Number 2 are misleading regional center promises. So regional centers are the vehicles that are promoting and are running the EB-5 investment program and generally lending money to real estate developers in most cases. It's really important to cut through the promises. Are they guaranteeing in a 3-year payback term? Well, make sure you go through the PPM and the document that shows that you're actually going to get the money back in 3 years. And if you don't, what happens? But there's a lot of promises and marketing material that doesn't match the facts when you look at those legal documents. And we'll go more into what those legal documents are all about and the advisors that you should have in place. And then investment diversion scams. Number 3, fraudsters might divert your investment funds. We've seen this with a lot of different projects where people were buying yachts, buying houses, buying fancy cars, Rolexes, watches for themselves, jewelry for their spouse. Be really careful about these. I met firsthand one fraudster in Palm Beach County that misallocated funds. We had met 10 years ago when I was working at a regional center, and he claimed to have all these relationships and contacts in Hong Kong, China, that he could help sell our fund. I got uneasy, especially as their marketing pitch basically was putting them as an agency, trying to make it seem like for the Asian investors that they were somewhat of an affiliate to the US government, which for me was an immediate red flag. Sadly, there are a lot of these individuals. We'll include a link. I met firsthand with that EB-5 player, Joe Walsh, who was hit with a $26 million judgment over the alleged Royal Palm Beach EB-5 fraud. 4, fake job reports. So remember, you got to create at least 10 jobs. There could be some manipulation in the job numbers. Make sure they work with a reputable economist that's going to be doing the econometrics analysis for the job reports. Ponzi schemes, you could have vehicles where you have new EB-5 investors coming in, money is being lent out, and money is being returned from the former EB-5 investors. That's something to look out for. Be skeptical, dig deeper, and there are firms, whether it's on the Ponzi scheme side or investment diversion scams, like Customers Bank, like JTC Group, that can act as stopgaps as well as provide additional transparency to limit the risk of that. You're not going to always fully avoid it, but you can at least limit. And then false guarantees of permanent residency. No one can guarantee you that the government's going to issue a green card. There are mechanisms that the regional center could give you back the funds through an escrow account relationship with a bank like Customers Bank, but they can't guarantee you're going to get a US green card. So be wary of that. No one can guarantee you a US green card. It comes down to the US government, USCIS, if they're going to be doing that, as well as promise of expedited processing. So we work with different visa categories, green card categories like EB-2, EB-1A, that you can get a decision from the US government on your petition within 45 days, within 15 days. Right now, there's no premium processing for the EB-5 visa. You can't pay anyone to speed up the process. There are ways that projects can be in the national interest, and at an ad hoc basis, you might obtain your EB-5 benefits earlier, but no one can guarantee that to you. What you can do if you're exploring the EB-5 program, verify the legal credentials. Everyone you're working with, immigration attorney, make sure they're good standing with their local bar association. That broker that's selling you the project, make sure that they're licensed. If you're dealing with someone outside the United States, make sure they have the proper licenses. But check those legal credentials as well. Their broker registration, you can check on FINRA. Make sure that they're a registered broker, and then conducting your due diligence. Look for regional center on the project itself, independent reviews, verify their claims. If something feels off, trust your instinct. There are a lot of projects out there. And then something that I would bet less than 1% of EB-5 investors do, but they should be doing it, it's worth every penny, is hire a securities and corporate attorney to review that private placement memorandum, the PPM. It might cost you just a few $1,000s, but you're going to be able to understand the risk, maybe catch some red flags that the broker, or if you're going directly to the regional center, is not going to put out in the open. So the securities and corporate attorney is key, because they can really go through some of the legal risk of you investing $800,000 into a vehicle that you are going to have limited control of how those funds are used, or at what time it's going to be returned for you. Ask for independent audits, different reports, whether they come monthly, quarterly. There should be some frequency and cadence to the reporting through an independent company not related to the regional center. And then beware of guarantees. No one can guarantee you an approval. They can guarantee you a return, but who's it backed by? It's not Starbucks guarantee that they're going to give you back the money, or the US government with treasury bonds guaranteeing that they're going to give you back the money. So a guarantee is only as strong as who's actually providing the guarantee here. So be wary of guarantees. And if there is some sort of a guarantee, understand who's giving that to you. And then report suspicious activities. So if you feel it's a scam, report it to the SEC, USCIS, so others like you don't fall prey for the same investment project. So at Visa Franchise, we're masters in bringing you the right parties to help you in your U.S. immigration goals. So whether that's the immigration attorney, the securities attorney for the review, the independent broker that's going to be evaluating and showing you different projects on your behalf, at Visa Franchise, we can help support you with the EB-5. But before we go all in on the EB-5, there's other categories like the EB-1A, EB-2NAW that offer self-sponsored ways to get the green card benefits at zero investment. And also the government fees are substantially less. The attorney fees are substantially less. So not everyone's eligible for the EB-2 or EB-1A, and certain nationalities it takes way too long to obtain, including many of those that are born in India and China, for example. So EB-5 can make sense for the right person, but be sure to do your homework, evaluate the different options that are presented, because there are sadly a lot of immigration attorneys that are pushing EB-5 for you. And part of it's based on the rule of reciprocity. They're getting referrals from regional centers. They're getting referrals from migration agents, from brokers. So they feel the need to reciprocate and give back clients And also the fees on the immigration attorney side are usually 2 to 3 times other green card categories. When you compare the EB-5, for example, to the EB-1A, immigration attorneys are charging substantially more money for the EB-5 petition. In some cases, the work is generally, I should say, not 2 to 3 times as much work for the attorney. Obviously, it's case by case. So there you have it. I truly believe there's a place for the EB-5, but before you go rushing in to invest your $800,000, do your research, make sure it's the right fit for you. Talk to numerous advisors. Thank you for watching today's video. If you liked it, hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and we'll be producing more content for those investors, entrepreneurs, top talent that are looking to acquire US residency and a green card here in the United States.